Hi, it's Janie at the League-Kempner house in Galveston. For those of you who haven't seen us before, we're a nonprofit set up to restore this incredible house. And today I'm down in the basement doing something I absolutely hate to see happen. And that's undoing work that's already been done, because I've had a kind of a rethink on the design for a lot of reasons. This is a bathroom that will be down in our gift shop, and the intent was never for this to be ADA compliant or handicap accessible. We have plans for that outside, but it's still too small even without ADA restrictions. And I did a lot of planning. I drew a lot of designs, looked at a lot of specifications online. It should work. It will work, but it's a little bit tight because we had an issue with our plumbing having to be set much further off the wall than normal. And you wouldn't think 4 or 5 inches would change things much, but it does. So we're going to move this wall. My husband came down today to help. He was here earlier in the week. We finished the framing, or he finished the framing in the bathroom and the chauffeur's quarters, and he's volunteered to move this wall for us. Before we get into the actual rebuilding of the wall, I want to back up and show you just went on the week before. It was one of those random weeks where we had a lot of little things going on, and it all kind of led up to this moment. At the beginning of the week, Roman and I went to visit John McNatt in his shop to talk about the greenhouse.
Curious on the profile is why, with you looking at this, which is the glass inlet here?
No. So the glass is going to be on top.
On top.
So picture this long rafter. The glass is going to be on top like this.
Glazed in.
Glazed in. You can see a little bit of the glazing
Right.
is still left here. So this has got to be some sort of like drip.
Gutter.
It's a drip
Gutter.
yeah, to catch
that
the water.
leads it down
and
to
runs
the
down.
end. So,
And a aluminum cap goes on the top here.
Okay.
yeah, in case water ever gets in there, I guess. So,
Okay.
which is funny. I guess they don't want it dripping directly onto the greenhouse plants, which is ironic to me, but hey.
And the spans on this are
So
about
those
10
look
feet?
are about 10 feet long, maybe a little over. I mean, when we get into it, I mean, if the thing is on the end, because it's angled, you know, it's cut on an angle like this, but then this top section actually sticks out a little bit. But I mean, I can do that on site. That's just a quick cut. And then the other end is, I think, also just sort of nicely angled. So then it'd be nice to get 10 plus feet and then cut it to the exact size on the site.
Okay.
You can take a rafter and just replace
well. When we order stuff like this, we order it in rough lumber by the board foot.
Okay.
So we're not actually buying like a dimension 2 by 12. I saw in one of the videos you're talking about trying to maximize the number of cuts out of a dimension piece of lumber, but that's not typically how white oak is sold. It's sold by 8/4, 10/4.
Okay.
So I'll have to do the math and come up with a lumber order and see what we can get.
So you would get a much larger board then and cut these.
I can get 4-inch thick white oak.
Wow.
So I mean, I can show you an example. This is rough lumber here. This is for Trinity Church, and then this is going to be 6/4, which would be about roughly 1.5 inches. This is going to be 4/4, which is 1 inch. So rough lumber is sold. It's sold by the board foot, and a board foot is 1 inch by 12 inch by 12 inch. It's
volumetric.
It costs a little bit less to buy the lumber like this, but you're going to get a little bit more waste. But you're not paying to have you're not paying to have the waste absorbed by someone else to make it the exact dimension. Exactly. What I'd like to do is be able to get the lumber and then try to get the grain where it's milled, where it's running up and down. These are pretty straight, but you will get a little bit of variation in there, and that extra thickness enables us to put it on the joiner and flatten the boards so that we get a good, nice, crisp, flat surface. So.
And why white oak?
Closed cell structure. I'm not proud of it, but you can take a piece of red oak, a 2x4, okay, and you can cut a 1/4 inch sliver of red oak, and you can take the drag off of a cigarette or a cigar, and you can blow the smoke straight through the piece of wood. 1/4 inch red oak. It's that porous. You can hold it up in the light, and you can see. That's amazing. Through the lumber. White oak is a closed cell structure, so it's not can't be permeated by water or air, and it has a harder Jonka hardness. It's got just greater stats on its bendability, flexibility. Of course, it falls on workability. It's not something you want to try.
Well, I was just going to say, do you need better tools? Do you
need bigger tools to be able to work with white oak? Let's say that we get lumber and it's 2 inches, and let's just say this is 1 7/8. If we could get the full 2 inches, would you want to get the full 2 inches?
I think it would work.
I would. It would make it stiffer and stronger.
Okay.
Right? So, yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
If we don't,
exact.
If we don't, it ends up in my dust collection system.
We don't want to
and I'd rather maximize what we can do.
Roman had not been to John's shop before, so of course he was fascinated by all of the equipment, and John did show us these very cool windows. They came out of the Sealy mansion, or open gates. If you saw that video a couple weeks ago where I took you guys on a tour, if you'll remember, the garden room was off limits because all these windows had been removed for John and his team to restore. And then he showed us a couple of other projects, but then I wanted to film John showing something that is just incredibly special and rare to see. And I forgot that Roman was wearing a mic, so while John was showing me his treasure, Roman was off having conversations, and so there's multiple conversations overlaid on what I was trying to film, and unfortunately it rendered the video useless, so I can't show it to you, but just a little tease. It's pretty fabulous. So John said that we could come back and he would redo that section of the video because I really want y'all to see this. So with that little tease, let's move on to the rest of our video today. So again, stepping back in time a little bit, I never got to show you guys the snow pictures from when it snowed down in Galveston and Houston, and it was quite a heavy snow. I did not get to see it in person because I had retreated up to Houston not to get trapped in the ice storm. That's when I was filming that Cornice video. But Sherry and Kelly are down in Galveston, so they ventured out on the ice and got a few pictures of the house in snow. Even after several days, when we headed back to the house to start work, we encountered a problem that we just are not used to dealing with down here in Houston and Galveston. All right, I was climbing up the stairs looking at my keys, trying to get the right key in my hand, and almost killed myself because these stairs are covered in ice. So now I am slowly making my way back down to go get the shovel and clear that. Brain is just not used to this. I saw this and I thought, why does somebody shove a milk carton up our gutter? But it's snow. And it's frozen solid. Still a little thin layer. You've got snow experience.
I do, but I know when not to walk on it too. I even had my boots on. It didn't matter.
Yeah, I was looking at my keys, trying to find the right key, and stepped right on it and went, woo! My southern brain doesn't get snow and ice. We got the steps cleared and were able to safely get in the house, but we were also distracted by an estate sale that was catty-cornered behind us, and we can never miss up an opportunity to go look at somebody else's things or to get a free tour inside a house. So we rushed over there. Y'all have met Mateo many times before. He's the electrician that has been patiently waiting for us to get our act together, to get back in here in the chauffeur's quarters and start pulling the wiring. And I know y'all are tired of me talking about what we're going to do. We're actually going to start this time. So we squirreled away enough money last year to cover getting a whole new service outside that's set up for the configuration we have with the nonprofit, which is, so we're going to have
2 meters for the 2 separate meters for the 2 apartments downstairs, and then another meter for the rest of the service for
so you were saying we're going to have 2 100 amp
2
services on their own meters, and then a 400 amp
Yep.
service for the rest of the house. So I don't know if y'all remember, but when we did the floor down here, Mateo came first and put in a bunch of conduit, and we laid out the wiring in here. I don't know if you remember, I don't know if I remember, but we're going to go through today and mark where boxes go and refresh and right on the wall where everything is, so he can start pulling wire. So we're going to get to it.
Yeah.
So, yay!
Getting exciting now.
Getting exciting. And we had all this cleaned out and completely empty, and it's full of stuff again.
Oh yeah.
So we will work on getting that cleared out and getting it empty one last time. That's why we've been working so hard on the other side to make room for all this. So where do you want to start?
Well, kitchen's always a good start because kitchen is where we have most of everything, all the specific appliances and whatnot. So, yeah, can we use this tape measure?
You can use that one. It doesn't retract, but it'll pull out further. All our tape measures kind of
Doesn't retract.
went
so
by
this is
the
like,
wayside.
Don't pull it out any further.
No, you can pull it out further if you want. It just won't go back in. Not too. It'll go back in with some effort.
Okay. So this is, I assume,
Fridge was here.
So for counter height, we usually do 42 to the bottom of our box. So put this.
So that's the bottom of the box.
Yeah, that's bottom of the box, and then it goes 4 inches above that to the top of the box.
And then beside that will be electric stove. Well, here I can tell you. Let's measure this, and then we can mark the end of the counter.
66 and a half.
66 and a half, and that goes right in the corner over there. And we can get these out of the way. So that is the edge of the wall.
66 and a quarter. That's where the sink ends.
So that's where it ends. So the stove is going to go directly beside the cabinet.
For a range, you usually put it below 9 inches because of that. Behind the range, there's like this cavity. So when you can plug it in without having, so that way you can scoot up all the way against the wall.
Okay.
So we'll have a range right there then.
Is that the bottom, you said?
This one will be the top.
And then we do want to have a vent hood here.
Vent hood. And that one we do want to know what because usually a vent hood will know like where the middle is. It's about like
so
right
it's
here.
30, so it'd be the same
Like
as
15.
the stove. So
But we want to be like to one side.
Okay.
Because when you have that, I assume you're just going to like.
We're going to bore a hole and put a vent straight out.
Because I can't be in the center, otherwise I'm like right where that conduit is or whatever. So I'm going to go over on this side.
Okay.
It's usually at 80. Disposal
and counter plugs.
Okay. Do we want to try to make it that same hole?
It doesn't matter. No.
Okay. Sounds good.
We'll patch and do work. So you put it wherever you want, and we'll.
Okay. Well, the sink.
The sink is
like right in the middle.
pretty much centered. I think.
And this was 60, so 33. Yeah, 33 in the center. So we don't want to go exactly center, but I just need to know that. 33 is right here. So we'll probably go. His plumbing's on that side. So if I go on this side, it'll
Okay.
be better for his stuff. So we put this one at 18 inches.
And then 2 counter plugs. I guess 1 on each side of the sink.
Yeah, so we'll do right here.
Oh, and we have to go higher than the backsplash here.
Oh yeah, because this backsplash is pretty
it's permanent and it's up
Yeah.
high, so we're gonna have to be.
So we'll do 45 then. Good catch. Go to 45. GSCI right there as
Okay.
well. Now we're gonna, I just put that symbol to remind myself I need to add a block. I can't be this close, one stud away
To the
from
edge.
the
Okay.
edge. Otherwise it's really weird to plug something in.
Okay.
So we had one more block right there, just where the box is.
Okay. And then dishwasher in this opening
Okay.
there.
This must be one of the fancy,
That's our fancy roof thing,
yeah, the roof guy.
which is very heavy. So we
why
will
we're
move
not moving
it.
it.
We will move it.
Okay, and then this conduit is our conduit that we're bringing all the home runs for all these things.
Oh, time out. Outlet on that wall, because if we have a countertop
Oh,
on
it's
the
a countertop?
dishwasher
Okay,
and a cabinet above, they might want to put a microwave or a coffee pot on there.
good call. So we'll put that.
Somewhere I have a piece of paper with all this written down. I'll go get it. And Kelly's coffee pot has to go there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
Very important.
Very important. Very
Nice.
important. I quit filming because it was too hard to follow around and decide, but we've got everything marked in the apartment. I have some decisions to make about whether to move this bathroom wall, and I have to do that ASAP because getting the, oh no, that's the main house panels. So you can install the apartment panel
Mhm.
and do the wiring, and then we just need this before you bring in. Okay, so I can take 2 or 3 weeks and do that because we'll have to move all that wood, which we were going to do anyway, and make a call on that. Okay, I think we got it. Kelly says no pictures. I think we're good down here. So okay.
This service over here has conduit that because it's a commercial
Mhm.
for the rest of the building. But since it's residential, we can use called tray cable.
Mhm.
We can use, and it's really flexible and whatnot. But once it goes outside, we'll have to use
In the conduit. So everything will come in the conduit anyway.
Yeah, it'll be coming in conduit. Now we just need to figure out where that entry point is that we want.
Okay, what we talked about for that is we talked about redoing all this and going right above that brick ledge detail
Just right here.
right there, skimming across the top of that and drilling in that wall over there.
Okay. And that would make
and then that makes it come in.
Is it too high or for these walls?
No, that makes it come in. We'll have to drop. We'll probably have to drop down. Well, shoot.
Yeah, we might have to drop
It
down.
seemed like a good idea at the time.
It looks like this is the center
Or going below it. Did we talk about go below it?
Below.
Maybe we talked about going below it.
We could do below.
We worked this out at one time. All right, we are not messing around this morning. Mateo was here to check on electrical. We need to get going. So my husband is taking pity on us. He's coming down to help kind of kickstart this project. Kelly's off this morning, so she's here. We've got to completely clean this area once again, but for the last time, because we're going to start the finishing process in here. We've got a little bit of framing work to do in this bathroom to get the stud wall up here so electrical can go in. We've got to get a couple of studs put here where the spacing was wrong for the electrical box, and then Kelly and I are going to empty everything out of here. And Home Depot's on the way with the appliance delivery. So y'all met Tiffany very briefly in one of our prior videos. She's been a fan of the house for a long time, but now she's actually interning, and she's been in the library doing some digging and found something really, really cool. Let me show you. We know from the work Marjorie did on our historical marker application that this house was on property that originally belonged to the Blums. And there's a reference in that book that the fence was part of the Blum estate. We always assumed it was the brick fence and that J.C. League put the wrought iron fence in because of his love of oak trees, and the fence has the acorn on it. But in this picture that Tiffany found, if you look really close, you can see that the wrought iron fence is original to the Blum house. So that's radically different than what we've been telling people for years. So another,
which is why you should come back and tour
which
often.
is why you have to tour often. But anyway, it's just, you know, these old houses, you dig and dig and dig, and there's not a lot of information, but there's stuff out there. So we're thanks for that. We were very excited, and we're very excited to have a picture of the original house. So it was a big, magnificent house lost in that 1885 fire. Jumping around some more, that speed heater that we bought that wouldn't turn on, we returned it and got a new one, and it worked. It heated up in maybe 2 seconds after flipping the on switch. So Kelly got busy down in the half bath / coat closet under the grand staircase, and Sherry and I headed down to the basement to clean up all of that giant pile of wood. Now, this is from a long time ago, but Mateo, our electrician, brought a group of young men down, and they started moving that wood from one side of these concrete supports to the other because it was kind of trapped back there and we couldn't get to it, and we needed to start sorting it and figuring out how to classify it and get it cleaned up to go back on the walls and ceiling. But it was just thrown all over the place and the sorting hadn't happened, so Sherry and I took the time to sort it out, clean out some places to stack the different types of wood and really get this area cleaned out. We still have a lot more to sort and do, but at least we got through the pile that was here today, and we stacked the longest pieces up against those brick and concrete support pillars for the house, but because of the height of it and how narrow it was, we were afraid it would fall down as people walked by it. So we were trying to figure out a way to secure it. We started putting cinder blocks against it, decided that wasn't safe, and then came up with the idea to actually tie it off to this brick column. That tended to be a bit of a challenge. We did it first with some heavy twine rope that we had. It turns out it was old and deteriorated, and when we pulled it tight, the twine snapped, so that wasn't safe. But fortunately, when we were cleaning out, we found some steel cable, some kind of coated steel cable. I don't know where that came from or what it was for, but it was perfect for tying this off to the column, so we got that done. I think we even used a little bit of leftover electrical wire, but it's now secure and not going anywhere. Kelly came down to supervise us a little bit and take a break from working in that closet. It does heat up down there quite a bit, or up there quite a bit with that infrared heat thing going. We could have used it during the freeze. That would have been a great freeze or cold weather project to do, sit in that closet and do that. But we were pleased with what we did. This space is now much more open and able to walk through and work in, and I don't want my husband to have any kind of delay when he's down here trying to get a clean workspace. I'd rather him spend his time doing the skilled labor of putting that wall up. We can clean and move lumber all day long. There was a little bit of final cleanup to do, and we were ready to call it a day. So I feel like the month of January, we got off to a very slow start between illness and the weather. Our project list for 2025 is very long, and we want to get moving on it, and I'm hoping that this gets us again jump started a little bit and back in the groove of working. And we're very, very excited about Mateo getting started on the electrical. One of the things we're going to do is also run plugs up to the first floor baseboards in a lot of areas, so we can quit using extension cords and have more flexibility in the house. So that wraps up kind of the prequel to where we are today with my husband down here working on this bathroom. There's still one task for me to do, and that's get the layout correct. We'll reuse all the lumber. This was all treated lumber, so we want to carefully remove it and reuse it. But before he gets started, I need to draw out the lines on the floor for him to follow. So we have a couple of constraints. We have this vent pipe that can't move, and we don't really need it to move. So we are going to start our new wall just right here on the other side of that. Actually, about right here. We still want to leave room, even though it's not ADA accessible. We want to put a grab bar over here. So we need to make sure we have studs to accommodate that. And we're going to come out and over a little bit just to make it bigger. We have an issue here. This is our oofer ground. If you saw that video before we poured the slab, our electrician came in. This is tied in to the whole rebar system in the house, and it's just a secondary ground because our two big electrical panels are going to go here. Now, it can actually be outside of a wall. It can be inside the bathroom. We can build a little chase over it. So I'm going to ignore this right now in the design, but I want to measure some things out. We don't want to encroach any more than we have to. This is going to be mechanical room, but I do want to give us room for a 24-inch counter. Well, actually a 20-inch counter from frame. So first I'm going to draw the counter over here to know what kind of floor space I have. And thanks to Joe, I have a little sidewalk chalk that I can do that with. I don't know about you, but there's something about saying something out loud that helps my brain process. So there's about 30 minutes of me talking to myself and measuring and laying this bathroom out. But basically, it's pretty simple. We just need a few extra inches to give us some room for the counter and to be able to not feel cramped. So once I got that done and got it all laid out on the floor and was comfortable with it, I was ready for my husband to take over and start doing the work. There is some consideration for the electrical layout, however. So it's not much of a change. You can see it's very slight, but it'll make a world of difference in this bathroom in terms of the use of it and the feel of somebody in there. So unfortunately, it moves our top plate away from where Emilio blocked in. So we'll have to add some additional blocking over here to secure this top plate too. Reuse these studs. We'll unbolt this, slide it over, rebolt it in, and be ready to go. Ta-da. So, ta-da! I am going to text the electrician and make sure we get the exact dimensions he needs for the panel, because that will change the position of these studs. So I'm going to double check that and get it right, because this is, knock wood, the last time we're going to do this.
Okay, question, because people are going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Are you worried about the mildew on the
No.
So
No, this is
that's
very,
not an issue.
this is very common down here. But before we close the wall, this is treated lumber. This is treated lumber. Before we close the wall, we'll scrub this and do a treatment on it to prevent mold and make sure it's very dry before it gets closed in.
And this
But
is not like black mold.
it's not like black mold. It's just common everyday mildew down here in Galveston. And you see it on some wood and not others. It actually kind of comes contaminated, but we'll scrub it and clean it before we close in. All right, with that, I will let my husband get back to work, and we'll see how it progresses. Once the layout was done, I headed outside to do some yard work. The freeze really did a number on all our plants, and it's been warm and things are already starting to sprout. And there's conventional wisdom about gardening that you should wait until all risk of freeze is past before you cut away the dead matter. But these vinca are very susceptible to rot, and having that wet, mushy, dead stuff on them could kill them completely, and they're already sprouting. So I need to get that done, and he does not need my supervision to do the work. Everything's already laid out on the floor. We've talked about it and gone over it and discussed a few other finer points, like where the blocking goes because of some of the wires and things that need to go up in the ceiling. So he is more than competent to continue on without me hovering around. We usually divide and conquer. We have different skill sets, and so there's things that he takes charge of and there are things that I do, and it works well for us. And as I've mentioned before, this is not his pet project, it's mine. He does this for a living, so when he has a day off, he needs to rest or do something that's fun for him. But he loves the house. He's very proud of what's going on, and he does actually volunteer to come and help quite a bit. I try to be very careful about how often I impose on him and save that for when we really, really need help. And this is one of those times. This is kind of a critical path item. We could wait for Emilio and Alfred and their crew to come back and move this framing, but that could be a few weeks before they are available to do that. And Mateo is ready to go. We've got the money set aside for the electrical, and we need to get going. We already lost really all of January for the most part between the bad weather and being sick. It was just not the start to the new year that I had hoped for. We have a lot of projects, a lot of very aggressive projects that we're hoping to get done this year, and so this is just something that needs to be jump started. We need to get back on schedule and get moving. So thank you to my husband again for being so sweet and volunteering to come down. He even came down on a day when Bronco Burrito was not open. That's how kind he is. But today they were open, so he had a Bronco Burrito for breakfast and for lunch. So he was a happy camper, and he made short work of this wall. And with the basement all cleared out, that's going to free us up to do some other projects down here. So I'll leave you guys with him finishing up and just say thanks again. We really appreciate all of our YouTube followers and subscribers. It means so much to us to share this house with other people who care about restoring and saving these beautiful old homes and really this significant piece of history here in Galveston. So we will be back next week, hopefully with some more progress down here, and I'll go over in more detail that speed heater now that Kelly's gotten confident using it and kind of come up with a technique. We'll backtrack a little bit and show you what's going on up there. So with that, have a great week, and we will see you next Sunday.